In future, people will be trapped in cages, working relentlessly until they die. 2019, the world is attacked by aliens. They instantly cut off electricity and restricted access to resources, making it impossible for humanity to fight back. Unable to resist a more formidable and powerful enemy, the governments of most countries decide to surrender and comply. The military disbands under orders from the extraterrestrials, who become the legislators. However, not everyone is willing to accept this fate. Detective Jack Drummond decides to leave Chicago with his family to regroup and resist the enemy. Ignoring the prohibitions and barricades, he attempts to escape the city, but the aliens stop him. His escape fails, and the aliens eliminate his family, leaving only their sons, Rafe and Gabriel, alive. As the new rulers of Earth, the aliens seize resources and begin constructing enclosed zones in every major city. Humanity is trapped in cages, forced to work underground to build an alien habitat. The only functioning authority is the police, which conducts regular raids and deports anyone deemed undesirable. All digital communication has been disrupted due to interference, and police officers and politicians communicate directly with the legislators, receiving directives for their actions. In 2026, a small resistance group attempts to attack an enclosed zone to spark a global uprising, but the plan fails. Nevertheless, their goals remain unchanged. The surviving members of the resistance, engaged in an underground struggle against the alien overlords, must make the first move to ignite a war. Chicago, 9 years after the alien invasion. A special police unit operating in the suburbs is capable of monitoring every person through thousands of hidden cameras and tracking devices embedded in their bodies. William Mulligan, the head of the unit, watches Gabriel Drummond, the late Jack's younger son. Not long ago, Gabriel's older brother, Rafe, attempted to orchestrate a terrorist act aimed at destroying the enclosed zone. He and his accomplices were eliminated, but now the police must determine if Gabriel has any connection to them. Gabriel knows he's being watched through various devices, but that doesn't stop him from spending time with his girlfriend. In the morning, he meets with his best friend and fends off a nosy neighbor watching him from her window. Trying to evade surveillance, the boys run off and find a mural dedicated to Gabriel's late brother. Despite his failure, Rafe has become a legend for those who believe in resistance and the ability of humans to drive the aliens off Earth. Climbing to the roof of a building, Jurgis and Rafe observe the aliens' lair, which leads deep underground. Despite the fear of being labeled a rebel, Jurgis dreams of the day when people will once again be the masters of their own destiny and no longer submit to the aliens. Meanwhile, William reads the latest edition of the newspaper and finds an ad from a company called Phoenix, offering fire protection. He realizes that this is a covert message from the resistance group, indicating that not all opponents were eliminated during the last terrorist attack. Shortly after, William visits a woman named Priscilla, who is easy to approach, but he is only there to pick up a package. She would be happy to spend the evening with the cop, knowing that no one would catch him, but he is strictly there for business and has no intention of breaking the established rules. Upon returning to the police station, William informs his assistant that the resistance is still active and may be planning a new strike. While reviewing case files and old biographies, he tries to find connections to Phoenix in order to prevent a potential terrorist attack and subsequent conflict with the aliens. Meanwhile, the rebels are indeed preparing for an operation and plan to execute it that very night. The target of the attack is the main football stadium, where politicians will gather and possibly alien leaders will arrive to celebrate the day of unity between humanity and extraterrestrial civilization. Patrick and Charles have assembled a group, so they alert the lower-ranking members to be ready for the mission and any potential risks. After meeting with Charles, Patrick heads to a bus, where he passes information to a secretive man hiding his face. At the same time, Gabriel heads to work at a data recovery center. Under constant surveillance from cameras, he must check data drives and copy information for the aliens to analyze potential enemies. Sorting through phone after phone, Gabriel uploads all the photos and videos to the server before destroying the data drive. There, he notices that a colleague is writing something on a piece of paper and hiding it. During lunch break, the girl sits next to him and discreetly hands him the note. To avoid drawing suspicion and exposing them, she uses the note as rolling paper for a cigarette and leaves it with Gabriel. After work, he blends into the crowd, but special unit workers, masked to conceal their identities, arrive in the park. They arrest the woman in front of Gabriel and take her away to an unknown destination, subsequently deporting her from Earth. Witnessing this, Gabriel realizes he was a step away from exposure and needs to be more careful. A little later, Gabriel heads to the docks to meet his friend. Jurgis has found a boat they can use to escape the enclosed zone and live in a place with less surveillance. Gabriel dreams of breaking free for the sake of his girlfriend but realizes how much risk they're taking. He's outraged that Jurgis feels tough just because he bought a revolver, considering him a coward incapable of real action. A conflict arises between the friends, but the sound of police sirens quickly brings everything back into focus. Dropping his weapon, Jurgis flees, and Gabriel encounters the head of the local police station. William uses Gabriel as an informant but treats him well because he was a friend of Gabriel's late father. At the same time, the officer advises him not to do anything foolish or end up like his older brother, or he'll be eliminated. That evening, Gabriel attempts to sell a cigarette containing valuable information, but Raoul shoves him into a van and puts a metal collar around his neck. He drives Gabriel to a devastated part of the city where one of humanity's battles against the aliens took place. Entering one of the houses damaged by explosions and gunfire, Gabriel meets Rafe and learns that his older brother survived the failed attack but has to stay hidden. This is possible because Rafe had the tracking device removed that monitored his location. He gives Gabriel money and urges him to return to the boat to leave the city as soon as possible. Unlike his younger brother, Rafe isn't planning to run, he's preparing for a new attack. He holds true to their father's principle: light a match, ignite a war, and he intends to continue fighting the aliens to spill their blood. This will show people that the aliens are vulnerable, and therefore, they can be defeated and driven from Earth. Wishing Gabriel a better future, Rafe lets him go, then sends a pigeon with secret information written on a piece of paper before burning all the evidence. Back home, Gabriel urges Rula to pack quickly because they need to leave the city. The girl doesn't support this decision. She's content with the current situation and doesn't want to change anything. Gabriel tells her that his brother is alive and that he has seen him, but this proves futile since the police are eavesdropping on their conversation. Upon learning that one of the resistance leaders is still alive, William urgently relays this information to the alien leadership to devise a new plan of action. Fearing that Gabriel might escape, the officer begins a manhunt for him, tracking him via a locator. Gabriel manages to hide in an abandoned factory, but he's surrounded by hundreds of alien listening devices. Trying to get rid of them and evade William, he uses the collar to jam the tracker signal. Sometime later, Patrick finds the pigeon that delivered the message. Acting quickly and efficiently, the resistance group prepares for another terrorist attack. They set their sights on their next target, the deputy mayor, who will be attending the celebration for Unity Day. Charles receives this information and, working at the local newspaper, decides to make an amendment to alert other members of Phoenix hiding among the local residents. Spotting a special symbol in the newspaper and hearing a particular song on the radio that serves as a cipher, agents of the underground movement gather at a nightclub. Before carrying out the terrorist attack, they meet with a doctor to remove the tracking devices monitoring their locations. The operation is complicated and extremely dangerous, so not everyone survives, but they're willing to take the risk for a higher cause. Immediately after this, Patrick heads to the morgue, where he bribes a local worker and buys the tracking devices from the deceased. The information about these devices won't be entered into the database until after 7 in the evening, allowing the rebels to use the dead people's trackers to keep their identities hidden and prevent their plans for the upcoming terrorist attack from being uncovered. Rafe also begins to take action and meets with his assistant, Edward. After learning about a woman selling a unique item, they arrange to meet her and buy a special fabric that belongs to the aliens. This organic material can be used like a chameleon, evading security systems and inspections. The possibilities of the transparent material are limitless, so Patrick transforms it into a bomb that requires a double strike for activation, after which a countdown of 1 minute will begin. As they finalize preparations for the operation, Rafe's team receives the chameleon bomb, the tracking devices from the dead, which will serve as their personal identifiers, and tablets with poison in case they are caught. Knowing their target and the details of the mission, a group of 6, traveling in 2 vehicles, heads to the stadium. This is where the Unity Day celebration is taking place, with thousands of people eagerly awaiting another meeting with the alien lawgivers. The mayor of Chicago begins his speech, touting how beneficial the aliens are, claiming they've increased the planet's natural resources tenfold and virtually eliminated crime. The members of Phoenix know this is a lie, as the aliens will soon steal all of Earth's resources and leave it completely uninhabitable. The only way to stop this is to take the first step toward war, and today is their last chance. Otherwise, it will be too late. Upon arriving at the stadium, the resistance members split up to keep an eye on the mayor's assistant. During the celebration, their plan has to change with the arrival of the lawgivers, but their mission remains the same. Rafe manages to get close to the deputy mayor and, securing the chameleon bomb, taps him twice on the shoulder to activate the timer. After executing their plan, the rebels leave the stadium. A minute later, an explosion occurs, claiming not only the life of the mayor's assistant but also several aliens. The lawgivers are enraged and begin searching for the criminals, creating chaos throughout the city. Edward becomes a victim of the ensuing gunfire, but most of the rebels manage to escape. Rafe also flees but encounters an alien in the underground parking garage. The lawgiver attempts to punish the leader of the terrorist group, but Rafe manages to hide in a van. The alien tears the vehicle apart, but other members of the resistance arrive just in time to execute him. William watched the unfolding events on television and realized it was time for him to act as well. Meanwhile, Gabriel regained consciousness and noticed that the tracking devices had left him alone. Without removing the collar, he rushed to the boat, only to see that it had been burned to prevent him from leaving the quarantined area. While Anita collects evidence leading to Phoenix, Daniel and Rafe move on to their next mission, knowing time is running out and soon all the police will be sent to hunt them down. The lawgivers call in alien hunters, as the police are failing to do their job. Police Chief Eugene Ego is summoned to the underground for a personal meeting with the aliens who have occupied Earth for the past 9 years. Shortly after, William meets with an easy access woman again. She expresses her complete trust in him and asks him to dance before he continues with his work and does what's required of him. At night, the police conduct a raid in the poor neighborhoods of Chicago, arresting anyone who might be connected to the rebels. Fearing physical retaliation, people dispose of anything that could compromise them. Jurgis tries to resist the chaos but is brutally beaten for his defiance. Gabriel tries to stand up for his friend, threatening one of the special department officers with a weapon, but William tells him to surrender if he doesn't want to say goodbye to his life. One of the gang members, before fleeing the city, decides to call his wife to say goodbye, as they have a small child. William anticipated this and tracked him down, demanding he reveal the whereabouts of his accomplices to ensure his son and wife remain safe. Evan is forced to disclose the location of his partners, and alien bounty hunters are dispatched to capture them. Meanwhile, Rafe, Anita, and Daniel head to the train station and purchase tickets for different routes to leave Chicago as quickly as possible. Everyone manages to check in except for Anita, who gets stuck in a long line. Noticing that it's almost 7 in the evening, the girl rushes through the crowd, using a boy as an excuse to get past the tracking device checkpoint. The resistance members board the buses and prepare to depart. With no police in sight, it seems they will successfully escape, but moments later, alarms sound, and the drivers are forced to stop. Alien bounty hunters appear at the station, searching for members of the resistance. They manage to locate Daniel, who tries to flee. When he realizes it's impossible, the rebel bites down on a poison tablet and takes his own life. Anita is frightened and ready to run, but Rafe stops her, hoping everything will work out. A minute later, it becomes clear that they have also been tracked down. Anita attempts to hide but is shot by a bounty hunter. Rafe manages to shove him aside and escape from the bus. In a desperate situation, the rebel decides to swallow a tablet, but William, who has arrived on the scene, shoots him to prevent him from going through with it. Shortly after, William meets Gabriel in the interrogation room and informs him that the aliens have decided to destroy their district. In 10 hours, their home will be wiped off the map, and only he has the chance to prevent this, but he must cooperate with the police. Gabriel refuses the officer, but William decides to play his trump card. He reveals that they have captured Rafe, who is being beaten and interrogated for information. Rafe will be executed if Gabriel doesn't help the police, and he reluctantly agrees to become their spy. Receiving instructions and a newspaper with the phoenix symbol, Gabriel meets with Raul and asks him to take him to the leader of the rebels. He knows the police are watching their every move but is willing to do anything to help his brother. Gabriel exposes the entire resistance group by meeting with Patrick, Charles, and Priscilla, who is considered the leader of the rebels. Learning that the head of the terrorists is in their sights, William orders a raid on the brothel, during which the woman is executed. Upon arrival at the scene, William's assistant doesn't believe that Priscilla is the mysterious number one who has been leading the rebels. Sure, she has plenty of books and is smart, but the woman's gun wasn't loaded, and her social status doesn't match her plans. Meanwhile, the police assistant discovers a listening device, a hidden camera, and a laptop containing valuable data. Soon after, William arrives in the interrogation room to report to the lawgivers. He exposes the entire criminal network, from low-level operatives to the leaders of the movement, including Charles, Patrick, and Priscilla. The aliens interrogate William and seem distrustful of him, since he has lived in the same area all this time and might be part of the criminal organization. William vehemently denies this, insisting that he is a policeman who will always stand on the side of the law. Meanwhile, those involved with the Phoenix resistance settle their scores with life, believing it's better than falling into alien hands. Rafe is the only one who not only survived but also managed to escape from Earth. A few days later, William meets with Gabriel and hands him a data drive. The officer is confident that the information on it will explain a lot to Gabriel and reveal the truth. In the meantime, it turns out that Rula has been a secret police agent, helping to keep tabs on Gabriel all this time. When Gabriel goes to work, he reviews the video stored on the memory card. It turns out that his father, William, Priscilla, and many other members of the resistance were friends. They celebrated all holidays together as one big family, and William promised to do everything to take care of the sons of Rafe and Gabriel's deceased father. Realizing that number one of the Phoenix group is William, Gabriel destroys the information. At the same time, William uses an invisible bomb and goes down to the underground, where he eliminates the lawgivers. The plan works, and soon people around the world begin to resist the aliens to take back control of Earth. In the film, Earth is under alien control, and many people choose to collaborate with the invaders to ensure their survival. Can such compromises be justified? Is working with oppressors a necessary means of survival or a betrayal of human freedom? How does the concept of freedom evolve in a context of total control? Share your thoughts in the comments down below, give a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next videos.